I know you're not a big wrestling fan, right?
Not so much as I used to be.
Do you recognize the name Bray Wyatt?
Yes.
Do you recognize that he died a couple months ago?
No.
Yeah, so he had a weakened heart, and then he got COVID, which weakened his heart even more, to the point they needed to have him wear a vest 24/7 to where if his heart stopped, it would shock him. Right?
Oh.
Well, came home, went for a nap, wasn't wearing the vest. Out.
Didn't wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it confuses me why they didn't just put a pacemaker in him. I guess if that would help. I'm not sure if that would.
I think that was a long-term plan. His mother, I'm getting this from a documentary I watched last night. His mother told the documentarians, that his plan was to get a pacemaker, eventually, but obviously he didn't get to the point of actually getting it.
Well,
I'm bringing this up because the documentary follows his life and his wrestling career up until his death, and it really, I was in tears by the end of it because it really, everybody was saying how good of a brother he was, and a father, and a son, and a husband, and a fiance, and whatever.
Yeah.
And, it really, it really affected me when it comes to dying early and still leaving such a profound legacy and a profound effect on the people around you, not only to the millions and the millions of WWE fans. Some people will get that, and of WWE fans around the world, but his family in the locker room and everybody. He died 36 years old.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Yeah, and still everybody talks about how much he affected their lives. And I don't want to turn this into a big, long monologue. Slide dog, catch me monologuing, but,
Yeah.
That, because I think about that a lot. And when I die, and I know this is getting real heavy 3 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
But when I die, the only thing I want people to say about me is I was a good man, good father, good brother, good son, good husband. Nothing else really matters to me.
Yeah.
So that's why it affected me so much, because of how much I hate myself.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll hook you into some therapy there. On that topic of watching that documentary, I watched a short film yesterday. Two Distant Strangers. I believe that's what it was called. It was a George Floyd.
Sounds like my love life. Oh, you said George Floyd. That's not a time to make a joke.
You have a wife, sir. It sounds like my love life, if anything. But it was like a surrealist, I guess, short film on George Floyd and all it was like a BLM style short film. And the gist of it was, dude woke up, to a girl he was, with a girl he was trying to spend more time with because he found her. I guess he started falling in love with her or something. And then
or something, whatever.
Yeah.
His fucking
it eventually turns into I like you kind of shit. But he walks outside, gets stopped by a cop, unlawfully searched and seizure, all that kind of whatnot. And then
I'm guessing he is of the white race.
The cop?
No.
Not the guy. No, the cop was.
No.
The dude was
that throws
black.
me for a curveball.
I said black? George Floyd.
This is unrealistic. This is unrealistic. This is unrealistic representation of America, honestly.
Okay. You know what? I see where you're coming from here. But
Asian, I would have believed.
There was an Asian lady in it.
Mexican, hard.
I don't
Hard,
think I
but
saw any
maybe.
Hispanic
But you
people.
telling me a black guy was pulled over and unlawfully searched in a movie about George
It
Floyd?
does sound
You lost
unrealistic,
me.
doesn't it?
You lost me.
It does sound unrealistic. But yeah, dude was like, "Why are you trying to search me?" Whatever. And the cop, like, I think in the first round of it all, it's like a death loop style thing. So in the first round, dude was like fighting back, and then the cop choked him out.
Damn.
And yeah, and like another cop ran up and was all this other kind of shit, and that this and the other. And then he wakes up again in that bed and was like freaking out for a second. And I believe the whole thing was for him to try and figure out a way to not die. And it turned into him explaining his situation to the people around him, like the cop. He did talk to the cop and was like, "This shit happens right now," and it happens. And he's like, I've been living the same day for, I think, 99 days at this point."
And to a cop 98 days in a row, it's you're the problem.
Well, the issue is the cop has a gun and he doesn't. And
okay,
even if he ran,
you're telling me 98 tries in one scenario, even if you're outmanned, look, you wouldn't win.
The dude has literally in within those days, at least the ones they've shown, he has changed up his like timing from when he leaves the house or apartment to like talking to people, to talking to the cop, to straight up bolting out the door, like all of that. And at any point in time, the cop will just pull out his gun and shoot him. So you can't really run from bullets.
It gets to the point where he stays in bed all day and he's just eyes closed. And
well, he did stay in.
Or at the end of the day, he's like, "Okay," and he's just like, "Hey, motherfucker." Gun to the.
He did stay inside one day. I think the girl he was with talked about going out and getting food. He was like, "You know what? I have a better idea. Let's stay in and cook breakfast." So he did that, and then her house got raided by a SWAT team, and he got shot.
So it turned from George Floyd
to.
I can't remember her name, which is fucked up because it's supposed to be say her name. Holy shit!
Oh Lord, why did I forget her name too?
The joke correct. She got fucked. That was a very fucked situation.
Yeah, it was.
What was her fucking name? I want to say Bianca, but that feels racist.
I'm looking it up because I have to remember too.
You know who I'm talking about? The girl where like the cops bursted in
and she was sleeping.
Nothing. Her boyfriend started shooting.
I don't remember her boyfriend being a part of that, but Brianna.
Mm-hmm. So I was close. It wasn't that racist. Well, it kind of turned a white name into a black name, so it was a little racist.
Yeah.
Brianna's a white name.
I guess it depends on how you spell it.
What?
I've seen several different iterations of that name being spelled.
How? What?
The same way my name is spelled 3 different ways.
Yeah, in my phone, your name is very, like the middle of it is stretched out.
I think in my phone, in order to tell you different from any other people I added Amazon to your name because that's where I worked at the time and that's how I do coworkers.
When I was door dashing, I think I sent you a picture of this chick's name. Not her address, not her phone number.
I do remember the name.
Get fucking butthurt about it. But it was like...
Yeah, I'm going to go find her.
It was close. Not to be racist. Chill out. It was close to Wakanda. It was like Wakanda, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And she was fully American. Fully American. Can we not do that?
I couldn't sing. I don't know.
I'm not going to shit on the whole, like, you want to have a unique name. Like, Jalen Ramsey has a daughter whose name is a combination of his name and his girlfriend's name.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But if your first name is more than 5 syllables, we got to start having a discussion.
I think that stems from there's only so many names that people have thought of in the world, at least commonly, because everybody sort of tends towards the same names. Like, I mean, Muhammad's the number one name in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if
I mean,
he wants to be called Muhammad Ali, he will be called Muhammad Ali.
but I mean, I feel like that just comes into like, okay, well, it's the same name. Let's spell it differently.
See, that doesn't make sense, though. It's still the same name.
Yeah.
See, me and my wife have thought of a girl's name and a boy's name.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl's name is fairly unique. I'm not going to say it, but
her name is
the
fairly
name
unique.
It is the name of my great-grandmother,
mm-hmm.
and then a name that means flower. And I've met no one outside of my great-grandmother, and I've met no one named that first name. Now, my boy is a fairly common name, because we were just spitballing names. I say my boy like I have a son. I don't have a son. But we were spitballing names, and we were like, that is a strong name. It's a very traditional name, but I think
name's going to be John.
A traditional name, but put in a strong way, I don't think it's bad. I'm never going to name my kid like Joe. There's too many Joes around, and he's going to be stuck with the average label. You know?
Yeah. I don't think I ever got to a point with my ex of figuring out baby names, because it was going to be a while before we had a kid.
Well, of course, I'm married,
mm-hmm.
and we have lived together for the last almost 4 years now, and she enjoys me splooshing in her, so...
I don't think any of us needed that information.
She's got the IED in her, so it should be fine.
I guess that's fine.
I'm so mad you didn't catch that. It's called an IUD. And
I know
IED
what it's called.
Is an explosive device.
Yeah. I just figured you had a slip of the tongue. I wasn't going to say anything about it.
No. I actually did that in front of Ryan or Raph. And they were like, she's got an explosive in her? And I was like... No, wait, hold on.
I just took it as another TCU moment. My mom flamed you about that.
Have you ever had relations with a woman with an IUD?
No.
It's just weird. It's weird because when you're starting off and you feel the string and you're like, I want to pull on it. Don't ever pull on it. Don't pull on it. That's a bad idea.
Don't let the intrusive thoughts take over.
Oh yeah, no, dude. As soon as I felt it between my fingers in my head, I went.
I could imagine that'd be very painful.
Oh my god, dude. You are probably going to prison for aggravated assault because she told me how they put it up there. And thank God guys don't have to do that. Thank God.
Well, there is of course there's a vasectomy, and then there is the male birth control that's
I know there's like male birth control stuff. But the closest we can get to that kind of pain is probably catheter. I never wanted my life. My dad told me that he had to hold someone down while they got a catheter. And they went from like, to...
It would not surprise me.
And my dad was like, I get it. Just come on.
Totally would not surprise me. I would probably freak out if I needed a catheter at any point in my life.
I would fight.
I would too. You're going to have to tie me down.
You are going to tie me down and put me to sleep.
You're going to have to do something because I'm putting up a struggle.
I'm terrified of... I'm terrified of medical stuff, and then I just don't take my health seriously. I just had a 12-piece Popeyes honey barbecue wings, and I finished them, and I was like, man, you say you want to get healthy. You say you want to get healthy, but...
Popeyes wings are small. It's fine. They're like on par with like Zaxby's size wings.
You can pop 20 of them, and it won't affect your cholesterol at all. Come on.
It'll definitely affect your cholesterol. It's fast food.
You're the little devil on my shoulder. Come on, just one more. Just one more.
Just one more, buddy.
But no, I'm terrified of like catheters. I've been terrified of kidney stones my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Even though with kidney stones, there's a chance that you won't have to fully pass them, that they'll be small enough to where they'll just come out.
I've been told the small ones hurt, the big ones don't.
Really?
Because you have to get the big ones surgically removed. The small ones that you have to piss out. Yeah, your urethra is not large.
No, I'm talking about like the small ones, because there are small ones.
No, I mean water can barely pass through it. Of course, pee is stored in the balls, but this is not medical advice. This is not medical advice.
You know what I heard?
What?
That's a very internet thing, so I'm connecting this to an internet take I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Streamers are so disconnected from reality. I watched a clip on TikTok with Hassan Abbey. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Ludwig. You know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
Some Asian chick. Don't know her.
There's a chance I might know her.
But Ludwig was like, see, people can say Riz and Phantom Tax in public and nobody blinks an eye, but I say poggers. And I'm sitting back and Hassan Abbey starts talking about how actually Riz and Phantom Tax is actually cool and poggers isn't. And I'm sitting back like, if anybody around me says any of those words, nothing they ever say to me will ever be taken seriously, ever. You're not an adult.
Yeah, literally all of that is what's a joke between me and my friends because we all hate it being used in a literal sense. But there's a song that my roommate heard. It's like, you're so skibbity. You're so Phantom Tax.
Oh my god. Oh.
He'll just bust out into singing it.
It's satire.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's completely
Anybody
satire.
who seriously uses Riz or Phantom Tax or any of that is not older than 15 years old. And if they are, they need to be put in a mental institution because their brain is not caught up to with their actual age.
I think the first time I heard Riz was a couple years ago, and then it became big. It was on a video.
Yeah, it was probably AMP. Because AMP would say that all the time about Duke. And then Kai Cenat became one of the biggest streamers in the world, the biggest streamer in the world. And because he's an AMP and they'd use it a lot, it caught on with everybody.
Sounds about right.
That and GAT. GAT. GAT.
I learned recently that is an acronym. That's how out of touch I am with pop culture now.
I don't care enough to learn.
I
tried to expand my vocabulary.
I
try to explain my vocabulary, sound more sophisticated than I am. Obviously, you saw how hard it was for me to say sophisticated.
Yeah.
You'll have heard how hard it is for me to say anecdotal. But
you said
I try to expand my vocabulary and understand the language more. I'm not going to waste my time with dumb teenage shit like that.
Yeah, it pains me on a mental level when I hear somebody say it literally. Because I was at like Pizza Hut one day, and like these two girls were talking about politics. And for reference, they had no idea what they were talking about, but they said something. It was like Pog or Poggers, I think, and it was just like, I was like, y'all are sitting here with like a bunch of middle-aged people talking about politics, which I wholeheartedly think that everybody that is like middle-aged and white disagree with.
See, I even sit around with like my cousins, like at the Super Bowl party that we had back in February. I watched it with my cousins, my grandparents, and people. And one of my cousins was like, "Oh yeah, I heard a bunch of boys say, 'Oh my God, she got that yacht,'" and I was like, Even if I was in school, I'd be like, "What are you saying?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Why are you saying that?" Be a man and say she's got a nice ass. Be a man.
Literally.
That reminds me, and I wish I told this during my school story back in episode 2 or 3. I had a buddy who had a major crush on this chick. Little redheaded chick, right?
Yeah.
And we were walking behind her, like, to the lunch table. And he was like, "My God, she has a nice ass." And I did this because he's never talked to her in his life. He just drools over her, right?
Yeah.
So I just
like
went,
school shit.
"Oh my God, she has such a great ass." And he
And
punched
that's
me.
harassment.
He fucking punched me. He was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, you don't have the fucking balls, so I'm going to embarrass you, you fucking dipshit. That was mostly embarrassing myself because nobody around us knew what was happening. But he punched me. Actually, he should have played it like I was the one going stupid. But because he punched me and went, what are you doing? Now everybody knows I'm making fun of him.
It's school shit. What year school was this? Middle school, high school?
Junior year, high school.
Junior year, high school? Yeah, it's high school shit. It sounds about right.
It sounds about right. What is
So
the
I probably
best
would have punched
joke?
you too.
What is the best joke you've ever told? Like original kind of shit.
Okay, so I knew this one immediately. Back in middle school, me and my friends used to roast each other on the bus like every day.
Right.
He's a little black kid, some big ass lips, and we were roasting each other.
Thank God you said that.
He said something, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay, Laszlo." And the worst part is, at that point in time, he really looked like Laszlo. Because, you've seen Camp Laszlo, right? Mm-hmm. He looked like Laszlo, and he acted similar. And I just heard the whole bus get quiet and then burst out laughing. People that weren't even paying attention to us heard that. Yeah. And I was just like, I'll take that all day.
I was watching some Corn the other day, and you just reminded me of this. It was the old Riley Reid, right? Mm-hmm. I like big women. Sometimes I dabble in the skinny. And she was with a black guy, and she said, "Oh my God, you have such big lips." And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What am I watching? So I just skipped forward when he was fucking her in the face and called it a day. But
all right,
I had two at the factory I worked at that I love and I hold on to this day. Mm-hmm. The first one, I don't know if you've ever heard me do this. My lady hates when I do this, especially when I didn't go to college. But every time she says something that is like an innuendo that can also be a nickname, I'll be like, that's what they called me in college, Like she pulled out like a peanut and she was like, this is a fat nut. And I was like, fat nut? That's what they called me in college.
You told me that one specifically, the fat nut one.
Yeah, but my buddy said something about a rocket. And I was like, rocket? That's what they called me in college. And he was like, why? Because you shoot off real fast? And I was like, no, because my dad died in the Challenger explosion, asshole. And dude, he laughed, and then he was like, holy shit, wait, is that for real? I was like, no, I'm not that old, you fucking dipshit.
Nah, I think the funniest thing I've heard about you was you getting fitted for a helmet.
Did I tell that with work stories?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell it. I'll tell it right after I'll tell you the second joke, all right? Second joke. You know what an iodine lotion is?
No, I know what iodine is.
Well, I don't know. Pink stuff that comes out of that bottle. I've always heard of iodine lotion. Am I tripping? Hold on.
Yeah,
because I want you.
Sure.
I want you to have a visual of this.
Because iodine's like brownish, or at least the iodine that you use to disinfect.
I am tripping. What is this stuff called?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But while you look that up, I can tell you the funniest joke I have heard. It was right after the Super Bowl in high school. And we were still roasting each other on the bus at this point. I think it was like my freshman or sophomore year before I got a car and started driving. And one of our buddies came onto the bus looking all depressed and shit. And the same guy I called Laszlo turned to him and said, "What, did the football get kicked too hard?" Talking about his head. And he had people crying.
Okay, it was calamine lotion. That stuff.
Oh. Okay.
You know what that stuff looks like?
Yes.
Okay. So at this factory, we bottled, packaged, and shipped off stuff like that. Germex, shampoos, baby soap, stuff like that.
Yeah.
One line, they ran calamine lotion. And right before lunch, I was put on that line to help clean it up because something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, opened up the doors of the actual machine that filled the bottles, and I was cleaning out bottles. I was wiping stuff off. And then just a pop came out from the top. And no metal got anywhere, but calamine lotion covered me, right? All over my arms, my torso, some on my face. So I looked at the lady I was helping. I was like, She was like, you good. Just go clean up and go to lunch. I was like, all right. Walked off. And as I was heading to the bathroom, two of my buddies started walking towards me. And they went, yo, what happened? I was like, if Jigglypuff ever asks you to give her a hand job, tell her no. And I walked away. And I just heard him go, what the fuck? Oh, man.
I had to be off the dome, too.
Oh, man. I've never, because I wanted to be funny with it. I didn't just want to tell him, calamine. So the first thought was like, what's pink? Jigglypuff. What's a disgusting thing that can happen?
I guess that's true, yeah.
Luckily, they didn't question while I was hanging around Pokemon offering hand jobs. But
that probably would have been something I had questioned, actually.
no. So the big head story. I
Yes.
don't know if I said it during my work stories. I can say it better now because you can hear me. Ha ha ha! You can hear me laugh. So, for those of you who don't know, I have a fat ass head. I got a big head. In high school, when we were trying to get helmets for the football team, there was only one helmet in that building that fit me. One. And when I was trying on the extra large helmets, my coach came over and he was like, oh, we got ourselves a jumbo head. And I was like, I appreciate that. My self-confidence is through the roof. And it comes from my fucking grandfather and my dad. My dad had to get custom fitted for a cowboy hat that he needed for his job. My grandfather was in middle school playing football, and they had to go to the high school to get him a football helmet. So this is a lineage of fat ass heads, okay?
Yeah.
So at Amazon, y'all know I work at Amazon, we were training to jam clear. Now what jam clearing is, get on a ladder, and there's a conveyor belt that sends cardboard to the recycling bin, and sometimes that'll get jammed up, so you gotta climb a ladder, grab a stick, and unjam it. Simple stuff. However, you have to be wearing a hard hat. Why? Don't know. I've done it without using a hard hat, but they want you wearing a hard hat, or else you can't be trained into it. Safety, I know. OSHA regulations, trying to keep you alive, whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as they pull out the hard hat, I think to myself, fuck. Oh, no. So what I do
And you're with
is
Raph,
I
right?
stand... I'm not with Raph training. I'm with Raph receiving, though. He's currently on the first receive line receiving, and he was right across from me. So I moved myself to the back of the pack to let everybody else go. And I look at Andy, who is our learning dude. I said, listen, there's no guarantee that this hard hat is going to fit me. We're going to see, though. And he's like, all right, put it on, and it doesn't fit, just sits on top of my head. So they get the blue one. That's a bigger one. They put it on. Doesn't fit. So they take the blue one and they take that netting out, right? That plastic whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, try this. It doesn't work the same, but try it. Doesn't fit. So they're like, all right, you can't get trained and receive. So, or you can't get trained jam clearing. So go back to receive. will scour the building to try to find a helmet for you.
And you would think for a big ass warehouse, they could just,
Yeah.
store use a helmet that could fit.
Yeah. I walk back to receive, and I'm receiving with Raph, chatting it up, having a good time. He's like, how'd it go? And I'm like, they couldn't train me, didn't have time, whatever. Receiving. They come back around and like, hey, we found this one, try this one. And Raph looks up like, what? Put it on? And I hear this motherfucker, Raph, that dumbass door stopper laugh, where to give y'all a representation of it, it's and they're like, sorry man, we can't find a helmet for you. And I look in front of me and this motherfucker is bent over, fucking wheezing. They're like, I'm sorry, man. And we tried to look for one, but we can't even custom order one big enough.
You just gotta bring your own helmet, man.
Dude, I'm like, I look at them like, why you gotta do this in front of him? He's making it so much worse right now. So that's why at Amazon, they still have not found a hard hat that was big enough to fit me. So I couldn't get trained in jam clearing because my fucking head's too big. So that is why y'all have heard me reference Raph and reference how he used to call me fathead all the time. Because I got a fat head. That laugh fucking haunts me. Hearing that we couldn't find a helmet for you, even if we tried to order one, and
That's
just
hilarious.
Hearing right here.
It's so funny. I wish I was still there, but I had moved away by that point.
No.
Do you ever do indirect shit?
Some. When I'm up at the Mez, which is the packing area for those of you who don't work at Amazon, I will do some cart running. I did some line loading in receive, but I've never done like... Sometimes, there was one time where Jacob was the only one building boats off of the line, I think, second floor, west side.
Yeah.
He was building boats, and he was the only one doing it, but tote after tote after tote were coming down, and it was backing up the line. So I started helping him. Like, I was stowing, so I'd stow like 5 items, go help him move boats and stuff, and then stow 5 more items and, help him out. But that's the only bit of indirect I did.
There was one day they kind of screwed me. I think I was working with you that day. I was in receive, and then they called me over to the west side to do indirect stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. West side, 3rd floor, I think it was. Well, turns out they didn't need anybody for indirect over there. They needed people to start stowing over there. But there was a certain, whatever they called it was like special shit that you had to get trained on. And they're like, were you ever trained on that? I was like, yeah, tote to bin. And they were like, you ever get trained on that? And I was like, no. I was like, oh, well, you can go back. I was like, cool, let me just walk this 1/4 mile long building again.
Yeah. No, that's how it goes. Picking, it's much worse because if you don't have a lot of work in picking, you will be going to pick one item from the 200 section on the 3rd floor east, and then mod, and then west side. God, dude.
Yeah, no.
I get my steps in.
Now, I really liked doing indirect stuff because I hated having to work by those metrics.
I hated... they got rid of rate for a second.
They did?
They got rid of rate. For those of y'all, in case we get too lengthy of just having a conversation between us, basically at Amazon, you hear that they track you by your scanner. That's true. That's the only way they can track your productivity. And they track you in 2 ways. TOT, time off task, which is basically the time in between scans, and then rate, which I believe in pick you are supposed to have 80 units per hour minimum.
And Stowe was like 20.
No, Stowe was
Yeah.
120.
No, I think I have a picture of when they did like a little contest thing for their Amazon bucks or whatever, and I think my Stowe rate was like 260 or 220, something like that. That was literally me grabbing the prime box of like tiny little shit that you can put so many of in a tote, and I was just deep.
Yeah.
That's not. That's nowhere near the rate that you're supposed to be. It was like 15, 20.
So it is not 1520. It is 1520 if you are stowing large items or if work is low. But the usual rate is anywhere from 90 to 110. That's the usual rate expected. There's no if you got down to 20, you were getting fired. Because that is what.
That's funny because I was always around that.
That's
they never
like,
said a damn word to me.
That's like 4 items a minute. There's no.
Yeah, they've never come to me about my rate and my time off task or none of that.
Well, that's probably because you had a good rate or time off task. But that's the 2 ways that they judge you. But I think back in January, they said, hey, we're going to run this little program. We're not going to do rate anymore. We're just going to judge you based off TOT. And now if you keep your rate around 70 as a picker, you're fine. They won't do anything about it. But you really got to be on your TOT.
I think my highest rate was running that whatever it was called it was on the west side before you get into the mod, up with the little ladder thing.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what that was called, but that was my highest rate. It was like 19 something in the thousands, in the 1900 something.
My highest
Given
rate
it was easy,
picker,
but
my highest rate as a picker is, I think I've gotten up to 2 something. But that has helped with, like you said, as a picker, sometimes you'll get to a bin and it's like, all right, 20 of these little stickers. You're like, cool. I'll get 20 of those and then I'll chill for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I've really learned, because when you first get hired, and I know this is everywhere else, but when you first get hired, you're real like, oh, I got to stay on the rules and I got to do this and this and that. Mm-hmm. I've been there for almost 3 years now. And I'm like, I know what I can get away with. I know what I can relax. And it's like, oh, why'd you do this? I don't know. I guess write me up.
Yeah, I think I started looking for that type shit like very soon after I started working there, because I knew what type of job it was. And of course it was mid-COVID season, so they were very lax on a lot of the rules.
I want y'all to know, Amazon gets a lot of crap online, and it deserves some of it. But when it comes to like UPT and TOT and all that, it's not as bad as the internet says. You can go to the bathroom and you will be fine. A lot of people want to say you can't even go to the bathroom or you can go to the bath. I've been to the bathroom for 15 minutes and they've not talked to me.
Yeah, every Amazon horror story I've seen online is always like shit that you didn't have to. It's like shit you brought upon yourself. Like, they watch you by your rate. Okay. If you just do your job like normal, you'll be fine. It's not like it's unreasonable.
And I want y'all to know, there is a story I heard where like this old lady had a heart attack. And it's like, oh, she wasn't seen or nobody got to her for like an hour. It's like, this is the dangerous part of Amazon. If you are in that sort of like risk, you will go an hour and a half not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
You can be in one section of the building by yourself for an hour and a half, because they have maybe 4 or 5 managers, supervisors to each like outbound, indirect, inbound, whatever. And those are even split between stow, receive, pick, everything.
And they're all over the building. So
they tell you, log into your scanner. It will tell you where to go. That's where you're working. And it will switch wherever the night goes. But like I said, it will send you to a spot in the building where nobody... I have legitimately been in mod, which is shoes, which is in the middle of the building.
Big middle section of the building.
Yes, and it has crossed my mind. Did everybody leave? Because you don't hear anybody, you don't see anybody, and the lights are motion activated. If nobody's in a section, it will be completely dark. So the only lights that were on was the ones over my head and by the break room. And I was like, I've
had that thought too. I've been on like the 3rd floor east side, for example. I've been over there and like solid 30 minutes, hadn't seen a soul. I've like crossed lanes, I've went up and down, like didn't see anybody. I was like, am I even stowing in the right spot?
You feel like you
went on break, looked, and was like, yeah, it's there.
You feel like you stepped through a portal into an alternate dimension.
Yeah, I always tell people that like Amazon is not the place where you want to go if you want to socialize with people, because there are a lot of points in times where you're just thinking by yourself.
You can do it in pack, in receive, and in stow. But even then, sometimes with stow, especially our building,
stow sometimes,
you will have like one aisle in the midst of 10 that has space where you can stow stuff. But the way me and Z kind of talked was we met and receive, which it's easy to socialize and receive. You're literally, it's like an office space.
Yeah, you're just like in a line or a couple of lines of people, and you're all like have your own little section, and they're all visible to each other, so you can very easily see and talk to somebody.
And in pack, it's pretty much the same thing, but in pick, there's no way you're socializing with people, especially if you got an anal manager. Because I heard this dude came up where these two guys had dropped off their totes on the line and were just chatting for maybe 2 minutes. And this manager came up and was like, do I pay y'all to just chat? And I was like, it was 2 minutes, dog. Calm down.
That would have probably gotten me a write-up because I would have said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You don't pay me at all, actually. This is a $1 trillion company. Fuck you.
The reason they were looking to fire Raph was because he started saying no to train in different things.
They wanted Raph all over the building. He trained in indirect before I did.
He was indirect, pretty much everything in inbound. He was pack and sort. He drove a forklift. And he started there like, okay, can you go train in this? And he was like, no. And they're like, why? He was like, you're not upping my pay, are you? They're like, no. He's like, all right, no.
Fair enough.
And then, I wish I could remember his name. I haven't seen him in a little bit. But he was one of the main forklift drivers. He always wore do-rag, glasses, black guy.
No, not who I was thinking of. Never mind.
Okay. But he told me, he was like, yeah, they used to bump your pay for learning how to drive on the forklift. And then they trained a lot of people to do it, so now they don't have to bump your pay.
Yeah. I think that's the Amazon was where I got the idea that if I get my like forklift like state certification that I can get a pay raise at other jobs. Yeah, no, it wasn't true. So I didn't do it because it was just like it's like $75 to $100 that I just wasn't trying to spend. I
trained on the forklift and I almost had a panic attack. I get motion sickness pretty easily, and I was motion sick on that forklift. And then when they were like, okay, go in the back of this truck and go get the stuff, I didn't realize how tight, how loud, and I had a panic attack.
So you know the forklifts Amazon has, right? At Lowe's, we called them Star Wars or narrow aisle reach lifts. Imagine going into a back of a truck with a actual like forklift, like sit down, 4 wheels, like propane engine type thing. Yeah, I had to do that a couple times, and not at Amazon, but in the truck with the forklift. That's tight. Because there's been times I've knocked against the edges of the trailer.
One of the most annoying things about Amazon is when they're training you, half of the videos they show you are like, oh yeah, this doesn't apply to us. Don't worry about this. Don't listen to this. Don't read that.
That's any training I've ever been through, though.
It's so fucking stupid. It's like, oh, this is outdated. How about you fucking change it?
Like specifically at Lowe's, I could tell you, like I was back end, receiving, stocking, but all I really did was receiving because that's all we had the people for. And half of the training that went into like starting up that role, like orientation style training, all of it was front end shit. I was like, cool, I'm never going to use that or that or that.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I was like, that's day shift.
Yeah.
That's day shift. Don't worry about it.
Even in my new job, she was like, during rotation, she was like, you want to skip through some of these videos because they don't apply to you at all. I was like, okay.
You know, they finally put an HR team at night on the weekends.
Really?
Yeah, because forever when I was working at Amazon, there would be no HR team on Saturdays, and there'd be no HR team past like 8 o'clock ever.
Mm-hmm.
But now they finally have an overnight HR team.
Finally. Shit. You ever talk to the one dude that was an ex-cop?
No.
Big dude.
I don't talk to people. I don't talk to people.
He was a part of it was like me, him, and Mark that always talked all the time.
I talked to Cheyenne, and I talked to another dude that looks like Jesus. That's pretty much it.
I did talk to one dude for a little while that tried to get me to move to Alaska.
Yeah, you said for, what, fishing or something?
No, air traffic control.
Hey, that's a good job.
He said it was like a $70,000 sign-on bonus.
Have you seen the tower climbers? Those guys on TikTok?
Yes. Well, I haven't seen it on TikTok, but I've seen like people that just climb shit.
Dude. They change like lights at the top of the tower, and
yeah, I've seen that. I would like to do that job. Two times a year, bro.
All that climbing though.
That's 2 times a year though.
Yeah.
Do it one day, come back 6 months later. Shit, I'm fine with that.
I don't consider myself
I hate heights.
I don't consider myself that, but the climbing and then the wind would fuck me up.
Oh, just imagine the top of the tower swaying in the wind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My uncle, he's a truck driver. He said he one time he had to go like very far, and they put him in a hotel. They put him in a skyrise that swayed, and he did not like it.
I was gonna say, the original joke that we came up with at Amazon.
The homie
big clit.
Mm-hmm.
The homie big. And how did that joke come about?
No idea. I think it was random, to be honest.
I think we came up with a character and we called him Big Clit. And I think the original thing.
And the original was, hey, it's the homie Big Clit.
Yeah, and the original thing was like, oh, he's called Big Clit because he's a pussy. And then I came up to you and I was like, no. It's got to be something else. It's got to be like, we call him Big Clit because his mother had gender reassignment surgery.
And that's what that was.
Yeah. And then you said something like, fucking, hey, is that your mom? No, it's your dad. Or something like that. It's like, shut up. I think in my bio of my socials for a while was shout out the homie Big Clit, and nobody had an idea what was going on.
That's hilarious.
And that's not a
one time we're referencing
joke.
This in the podcast, so
that's not
if
a
y'all
transphobic
get it after
joke.
that.
Yeah, that's not a transphobic joke. Okay?
No, it's not.
We're putting him in a situation full of transphobes. That doesn't make us transphobic. We're just describing a situation.
It was hilarious though. So I remember that day when we started coming with that, and the couple days after when we kept referencing it.
Yeah, we kept, and we'd get loud with it.
Oh yeah,
we'd get loud,
and that's how loud. You know, especially that we are fan aisles.
Yeah, we are isolated because we'd be laughing so loud, and nobody would come up to us.
There was literally only one time I can think of that I was talking with somebody, and the manager was like, "Y'all are talking too much." That's one time in my, 7 months that I worked there.
See, I guess because it was just quiet. I never got talking too much. I just got the headphone thing. And then it got to a point to where my headphones were in all the time that they were just like, okay, I guess just try to hide it from me.
That's where AirPods come in handy.
Yeah. Because sometimes I would talk my way out of situations and I didn't even mean to. Like, sometimes I put my phone up on a bin and just watch it while I'm stowing.
I'd do that.
One of my managers came over, and I just turned, and he was right there, like trying to get me with like the phone. And I was like, "Oh, by the way, did you mean to say this, and that?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, whatever," and walked away, not mentioning a single thing about my phone.
You know, he made a note of it, but said, "Damn, this guy's good."
Or I got one of the fucking pricks there. Carl was so anal about it. But sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, I thought I could do this, and that." He was the old white guy with gray beard, gray hair, and glasses.
I've never met the dude.
Okay, well, he was a fucking weird person because he was a pack manager. But sometimes he would just walk through the mods looking for stowers and pickers to write up. God, dude.
All right, dude.
But he said that, or I said, "Oh, I didn't know, I thought I could do this, and that." And then he decided to write me up. And then he came back like 5 minutes later. He's like, "All right, since you didn't really understand, I'll just say this was a talk we had." And I was like, "Bet!" Even though that was like my 10th time somebody mentioning the headphones.
I think you were the guy that really got the headphone thing happening at that warehouse, weren't you?
Now nobody gives a fuck about headphones and everybody wears them. I actually was fucking proud of myself and gotten my ego stroked a little bit because they started to have like a team meeting kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I made the case as to why they shouldn't give a fuck about one headphone being in the ear unless like someone's being talked to or whatever. And the safety representative that was there pulled me aside and said, "Tell me more." Now, my idea was like, "Hey, give us like a month to where we can wear just one headphone in, one headphone out, see if, safety collisions or whatever rise, if production decreases, whatever. You could say, all right, no headphones, whatever, but just try it." They didn't do that, but nobody gets written up for headphones anymore. Unless they're looking to write somebody up.
It's always people around me that always make changes to like workplaces. Like my other buddy, we worked at Lowe's, and like it was a little bit after I quit that he worked night shift, and a little bit after I quit, they finally, for the first time since the almost year I'd worked there, had somebody come from corporate to night shift instead of day shift, and they started talking. He got to talking about their pay rates or their how much they were getting paid, and the dude was like, "How much do you get paid?" I think at that point he made $12 an hour. Yeah. And usually there's a shift differential, which I mean I had when I worked at Lowe's in Murfreesboro. And dude was like, "Y'all get paid that little?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll take a look at that." And what do you know, like 2 months later, they got a $4 raise. I still have yet to see any of that because fuck me, but...
Should I tell you? I don't know if I told you the full story about that bad winter storm that happened a year or two ago in January.
I remember it happening because I worked at Lowe's because I went home early that day.
Actually, I remember the day, and this is hilarious, and I defended Amazon a little bit. It's time to shit on them a little bit. This is all alleged speak. You don't know which building I work at.
I got you. It's no, I'm just kidding.
It's I work at a building in Florida. So it happened the week of Christmas. And I know because of the reasoning I heard this happened. So I think it was like December 23rd. December 23rd. We go into work and it's already snowing. So we're like, we know Tennessee, we know the schools, we know the work, I just said where the building is. The schools, the work, that's a fuck up on my part. Holy shit. Really hopefully I don't get fired. Acting like this podcast means a shit.
Yeah, there's only one warehouse in Tennessee for sure.
This is a made up story. So we go into work expecting to be let off. Hour or two passes. Nope. No word. Nothing. 3-4 hours pass. No word. Nothing. And we're looking on our phones, getting texts from relatives like, "Hey, are y'all safe? Are y'all okay? What's going on?"
That's the week I left.
No. This was like a year after you left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had that winter storm,
right.
but we had this bad one. But we had like 3 years in a row that we had a pretty wicked winter storm. But
yeah. 3 different jobs for me.
But we start going to the VOA board, which VOA stands for Voice of Associates. You can put a message on this board, whatever you want, as long as you don't go crazy.
Yeah, as long as you don't go stupid, you're pretty much free to criticize whoever.
Yeah, if you have a complaint, if you have, something that needs to be pointed out, anything, post it on there. You can do it with your badge name, or you can do it anonymously. So I look on the VOA board. A couple people are asking, hey, what's going on with the weather? Is everything straight? Like, are we going to get let out? What's going on? I'm reading that it's getting more dangerous. And the head lady responded, hey, and I'm paraphrasing here, our parking lot is okay, so we're going to keep an eye on the weather. You should be fine. Which gets people a little angry. Your excuse is that the parking lot is clear and the parking lot is salted, so we're all good. That's the excuse. So as the night goes on,
the entrance to that parking lot is also slanted, so that's helpful for ice.
Yep. So as the night goes on, it gets colder and colder, snows more and more, and everybody keeps posting to this board, slowly growing more angry, just getting the same automated response. Our parking lot's fine, our parking lot's fine, our parking lot's fine, just hold on. And then the messages start coming, hey, I just tried to leave, and I saw people slipping and falling. I had a hard time getting out of the parking lot. What's going on? You know what the head lady responded?
What?
Nothing. From 10:45, stopped responding. And I heard that she was chilling at the house. She wasn't even at the building. So,
that sounds about right.
We got told you will be fine because our parking lot is clear. And then we didn't get an answer to any of our questions from 10:45 until the end of shift. And I posted anonymously on there, so let me get this straight. And I said what I just told you. And a lot of people were saying, like, the post above me, yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing. Over and over and over again.
Yep.
Well, we all left, and I posted on the VOA board when I got home. I was like, the interstate seems to be fine. The back roads are really sketchy, though, so y'all be careful. Whatever. I go to sleep. I wake up. The VOA board is gone. Deleted. Can't access it.
Somebody was getting flamed.
Dude, it's multiple. Some people were getting like real aggressive, okay? Which I didn't really mess with.
But I could see
the criticism. Yeah, no, I could see why. In the criticism, I can see that fully. But deleting the entire thing, now you're taking away our right to criticize you. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that,
First
my freedom of, I don't want to be my freedom of speech. But that's what you're doing. And now the VOA board is back, and you can no longer post on it anonymously. It has to be a complaint with your full name.
That's wild. I've got like 3 stories before we end the show today. Snow stories. They're related. So I worked at Staples before I worked at Amazon.
What do they sell at Staples?
Well, Staples for one.
I got to go to Dick's then.
I think I might find.
That's an old Vine joke. I'm not.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna go to Walmart.
It was a snowstorm.
What's a Walmart? I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
It was a snowstorm, and like the roads from my house until you hit the main roads were literally just ice. So I call out of work one day, or they close the store one day, and then the second day comes along, still ice. I call out. They're like, okay. Third day comes along. I try to leave. Wasn't happening. So I call out, and he was like, well, the roads over here are fine. Yeah, no shit. You're on one of the busiest roads of Murfreesboro. Of course it's going to be melted. Yeah. And then that was pretty much it for that one. I think I ended up having like my mom drive me because she had to go somewhere anyways. And And of course, Amazon, I didn't really have much of a snow issue there. But then when I got up here and went to Lowe's, 3 weeks in, maybe, snowstorm hit. And I was just like, I'm going to go. And they were like, yeah, see you tomorrow. I was like, cool.
Good.
And then I, eventually, like almost a year later, I go leave work at FedEx. FedEx, okay, I've explained this before. FedEx is contracted. FedEx Ground is. They're contracted drivers, businesses, whatever. Like, it's multiple different companies that run FedEx Ground on the package delivery side. We had a snowstorm this past winter that was pretty bad, like really bad, and shut down ground for almost a week. My managers, bless their souls, were just like, yeah, no, don't come in. They're going to send us packages. Don't come in. We're not going to risk that. And then eventually, corporate was just like, no, you have to send people to try and deliver packages or else you're going to fail for the month. And it was like, that makes no sense because we're still slipping and sliding. So I come in like 2 of the 3 days they wanted to try to come in. The second half of that, day 1, I don't come in. Day 2, I come in. I'm running my side of town because our contractor runs this town that the terminal's in. So I come in. I, try and get to work. I think I had like 220 something stops, which is about double what's usually had on this route. And I'm start going through shit. I'm just like, not going down that road. Guess I'm only delivering on the main roads. So I go, I deliver, and I'm sitting here like talking to my coworkers and everything. And one dude's just like, stop. I was like, bro, what happened? Because we were on the phone. He was like, I almost hit a stop sign because the truck wouldn't stop.
Damn.
I was like, that's fun. He's like, oh, I almost ran into a ditch too. It's like, cool. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm taking this truck back.
Yeah.
And eventually they gave up on it because shit like that was happening. I think another contractor had literally crashed pretty badly.
The reason I got explained to me why they kept us in the building, and this wasn't from management, because management didn't say a word. They just swept it under the rug. Didn't speak about it. What I heard, the rumor around the building, was that was the last day that they could get packages out for 1 day shipping for Christmas. That is why I remember it happening right before Christmas. I was like, choosing your customers over your, employee safety is a wild thing. Yeah. But no, I'll tell this story and then we'll hop off. Because I had a similar thing with the factory job I worked at. And I'm going to say this again. It is a made up story. This is completely from my mind. I'm not telling a single truth in this. Legal liability is a great thing. So, snow, icy roads are happening. And I go into work one day. And they're like, yeah, we have no plans on shutting down. You're going to come into work. And I was like, okay, maybe the roads will get better. I go in another day. Yeah, no. Roads are still bad. Slipping almost the entire way. And mind you, the first night of this, I had a buddy there who had to take an Uber home. And he couldn't get an Uber. So he had to come spend the night with me and my lady. And I had to drive on these icy-ass roads. But that third day, Eiffel Tower, I came in early, like an hour early. And I was like, hey, because by the way, this job did not explain to me that we get PTO vacation and all that. So I had built up vacation from over like a year, right? So I said, hey, I'm taking the next 4 days off because I see no signs in this letting up. And my manager's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, so you want tomorrow, 4 days starting from tomorrow? I was like, no, 4 days starting today. And he looked at me, he was like, today? And I was like, yeah, today. I drove in to tell you this shit because there's no way to put it in manually. And he was like, right. Really? Today? And I was like, yes.
I came in person to tell you I'm not coming in for today or the rest of the week.
Yes. So I take 4 days off. I come back, and the roads were fine to drive on. There was still snow on the sides and whatever, but the roads were fine. I come in, and I see a paper. So right next to our clock in thing, where you put your badge up to clock in, there was like a I don't know what you call it, a post up board or whatever, pin up board.
Whatever that board is.
They put up events that's happening, news about the building, whatever. There was a paper, and again, this is a fake story, all from my mind, just made up. There was a paper. Could be misremembering this. I don't know what memory has to do with anything because this is a fake story. But there was a paper that said you can stay home if you fear for your safety and coming in work, but you will be punished because you were not here. And I read that. And I looked around and everybody read that and we were like, what? What? Really?
What?
Yeah. You wouldn't get paid for the day. They aren't going to shut down the building, and you will be charged an absent day. Even if you called in and we're like, hey, I can't, you will be, yeah. Like I said, this is a completely made up story. I could be misremembering details, even though memory has nothing to do with a fake story. But.
So hypothetically, if somebody did that and got fired.
You could probably sue.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I feel that suits like an unlawful termination suit right there.
Yeah. And I'm not saying they were complete. A lot of companies do. And this is a new thing that I'm learning because, again, allegedly, possibly made up story. My lady's company was taking time away from her. Like hours, right? That she worked, that she was clocked in.
This company?
This company she is currently working
allegedly?
for.
That's
allegedly,
okay.
Made up story, whatever. But we start looking up because
wage theft is a thing.
Cutting out. If anybody sees that works with her, this is just a made up story, hypotheticals. Because we were looking into stuff and we realized that so many companies will actually do that. A lawsuit from an employee to a company over hours taken away or pay taken away is stupid popular. Stupid popular.
Yep.
So anybody out there, if you take anything from Red Light Homies at all, I don't know why, we're two dipshits sitting in our house making a podcast.
CYA, cover your ass.
Yes, if you take any lesson from us ever, keep track of what that company is doing to you because they will go under you.
Without a second thought.
They will fuck you up. They will fuck with your check. Make sure you watch that shit. Even if it's, but it's like my dad's company and I've been here for a while and they treat me good. Look at it.
At least look. You can't trust what you hear. You can only trust what you see.
Yes.
So you're going to have to check it out at some point. It's going to come back and bite your ass if you don't.
Most companies do this, but I know some that don't. If you go to work for a company that does not have a way for you to see every day your pay stub, your hours worked, your time off, all that, if they don't have a way, either a website or a phone app or anything where you can see all that, don't work there. They for sure will start fucking you up.
100%. I think every company I've worked for has always had a way to look at that.
Yeah. Well, Z's camera just died, so it's a good way. It's a good spot to end this. I'm sorry we didn't have a topic. We originally did, but we kind of fell out of interest with it. That might be next week. We'll come back next week with a for sure topic. I promise. Follow the socials. As always, every week we tell you. I deleted Twitter because fuck that fucking cesspool. But we post every day on Instagram or every weekday. We post every weekday on TikTok, every weekday on YouTube. There's always a short. So Red Light Homies on everything. Make sure you rate the show 5 stars. We say it every week, even if you don't like us. You hate our voice. You think we're not funny. Think we're not charismatic.
Rate us 5 stars and tell us.
Yes, tell us, but rate 5 stars. Just help us out. Be a good human being. And as always, If you got friends, cousins, family, strangers who come up to you and say, hey, you look like you know a good podcast, you tell them. Z, what do they tell them?
Hey, I know these couple guys over at Red Light Homies that have a really good podcast you should listen to.
Indeed. And as always, your homies Jackie and Z. We'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace out.